Hello, everyone, and welcome to Optimize Your Life. We have a great guest today. Her name is we call her Lola Ashaye. She's a great friend. She's a wealth of information. I love her so much, and she's going to bless us today. So before we dive into the episode, I would like to ask you, Dr. Lola, to please introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Valerie, for having me. My name is Lola Ashaye. I'm a family medicine and lifestyle medicine physician and a mother, wife of three beautiful kids, then also owner of practice, a founder of InTouch Primary Care in Sugar Land, Texas. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. And so for those who don't know, Sugar Land is a part of the big Houston area. So if you're in need of a great doctor, please don't hesitate to give Dr. Lola's office a call and she'll give the information towards the end. So I know she will. So doctor, today we're going to talk about intentional living. How do you understand that term, intentional living, when it comes to optimizing our lives?
Yeah, so I believe that, I guess the way I understand it is kind of knowing what you want and going for it. So sometimes we get so busy in life, we don't stop to think about what we really want
Yeah.
and we don't make sure that what we're doing now is going to lead to what we want. We just kind of go with the flow. So intentional living is taking time to understand, to figure out what you want, and then making sure that you're taking steps to move towards that direction.
Okay. Were you always a person who lived your life intentionally, or was there a journey that led you towards that path?
Well, I think to some extent I did with the guidance of my parents. Growing
Uh,
up, I had parents that were intentional, and so that helped a lot.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, that's a blessing for sure. But obviously, you're not perfect.
Right.
A lot of things, life, there's seasons. And at some points in my life, I would say I was just kind of going with the flow.
Mm,
Either you're so busy with
mm,
so many things, you just are just trying to keep your head above water to get things done. You're not even thinking about whether what you're doing makes sense or not. You're just doing.
mm.
So I think definitely there have been periods of my life where I wasn't living intentionally. I was just kind of coasting. And it happens both ways. It happens sometimes when you're busy, it happens when things are good.
Mm,
So it can sometimes you get comfortable, and when you're comfortable, everything seems to be going well.
yeah.
Sometimes you can get too comfortable and stop
Right.
living intentionally.
So, let me ask you this. I know that, when some people think about intentional living, they're thinking about like living, knowing exactly where they're going, like more like on the line of organization. And
Mm.
there are a lot of misconception around that. Like people feel like if they have to live these lives that are very organized, that means that they would have to be rigid. That means that they will stop having fun. How do you debunk that
Yeah.
misconception for those?
Yeah, so I think what has helped me is thinking about my life in different areas
Mm,
and understanding that fun and relaxation is also important. And so when you think about that, and then the other part of it is also not comparing yourself to others because people
that's
have, yeah, different ideas of what
yes.
life should be like. And that's why understanding what you want is important
Mm,
because for some people, what is fun is not fun for somebody else,
that's
right?
true.
So when you even say fun, what do you mean by fun?
Exactly.
So there, you, there's so many things so figuring out, I think, understanding better what you really want, not what
Mhm.
other people, finding your own picture and understanding too. So, I'm a Christian, as a Christian,
Yes.
for me, I believe God has designed me a certain way for a certain purpose, right?
Right,
And
right,
so there's a reason I like certain things that maybe other people don't. And there's a
mhm,
reason I have strengths in certain areas that other people don't, right?
right,
And so I'm thinking about how do I use all those things that I have for my purpose. And there's a reason I care about certain things and other people don't. So, you know, understanding that your uniqueness is not just random. It's
It's not random.
actually is for a purpose. And if you think
Mhm.
about it that way, and then when you think about what you want, it's not about being selfish. It's about
Right.
understanding how your uniqueness is going to help you fulfill your own purpose.
And this is deep. I love it. I love it. And not along talking about that, then how did you or how can somebody find out, what they're wired for, what they're called for? Like what are some ways to recognize? Some people just they know what they want and they run for it, but some people don't know and it's like a wandering road. So like what are some tips that can help them find out?
Yeah, so I'll tell a story, right? I remember in college, when
Mm,
I got into college, I got in and I was going to go, and my parents are like, okay, so what's your major? And I
mhm.
was like, I don't know. And they're like, well, guess what? You get to go to a community college. We can't spend thousands of dollars trying for you to try and figure out what you're going to do. How about this? You go to a community college, you can spend hundreds of dollars there figuring it out. And I was like, oh, no, 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 to go directly to, a 4 year college, trying to get away from home, right? Have my own life.
Okay.
They're like, okay, so what do you want to do? So I shadowed a few people. I
Mm.
shadowed like a business person, I shadowed
Oh,
a
nice.
doctor. And
Mhm,
that's how I really, saw that interaction, patient doctor interaction. And I really
mm.
was like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. So
Oh,
shadowing was really helpful. However, I just
mm.
told them, okay, fine, I'll do medicine. I didn't really intend to do medicine. I just wanted to go to a 4 year college.
Away.
I just told them what I thought, will make it, allow me to be able to leave, right? So I got into college and I changed my major so many times. I
Wow.
mean, I was pre-med, so I was doing all my pre-med stuff, but there was a
Mhm.
time I was like a math major for a couple of
Mm.
weeks. I did
Couple
statistics for a
weeks.
couple. I'll go to the class and I'll be like, maybe not. So I tried out different things. And even up to my towards the end of my third year,
Mhm,
my counselor is like, dude, man, you need to choose something. Like, what are you going to do? You need a major. You need to graduate with something, right? I mean,
right,
I had my pre-med classes, so I was fine. I could,
right.
but I didn't have a major. And I
Major.
remember walking down the road and I was just like, okay, God, fine. What do you want me to do? Because obviously
I don't know.
I don't know. Sure. And I was sincere and I was like, okay, whatever you say, I will do it.
Mhm,
I just and at that time I was kind of leaning towards maybe just doing something and then going into public health.
mhm,
That's what I was leaning towards. And then he's like, do medicine. I was
mm.
like, what? And I just knew that I needed to obey. And
Yeah. Wow.
honestly, when I believe when you sincerely ask and
Yes.
you sincerely going to obey and you
Mhm.
ask, and you sincere, you're not just, get validation for what you want to do, I
Right,
believe
right.
you will get your answer.
Your
So I
answer.
asked God and I believe he told me. And there's so many times that has been my way of figuring out what I want to do, you know, staying close to God, asking him questions. You find yourself in the scriptures. I truly believe that when you read God's word, he brings things to life in you
Mhm,
that he may not bring. He talks to you through his word.
mm,
So for me, that has always led and guided me.
mhm.
And so that's what I tell other people. You try different things. If you're not sure, if there is the person that created you knows why he created you. So yeah.
We have similar approaches because, see, when I was little, I always knew I wanted to be a physician, but then I went to college and got lost because there was this advisor that ill advised me. And so
Yeah.
now I was all confused. But even with the degree, I just thought, that just because you want to become a medical doctor, you have to do biology or
Yeah.
chemistry. And I like biology better than chemistry. But then when I found out in the US that you could do whatever you want at your bachelor degree level. I was like, well, let me explore. That's when I just ended up not knowing what I wanted to do. I ended up wanting to do exercise and sports science. My dad was like, absolutely not. And I was like, well, why not? I was like, I took one class and I figured out that he was right. Like, I was like, why did I even bother? So basically, truly was, I even finished, I graduated, I did do biology, and biology was definitely what I really loved, even when I was in high school, when we were taking biology. Like I always loved that. So I finished with my biology degree. And then, after that, it's like, what am I doing now? Because now I'm not doing medicine. Yeah, asking and wondering. And to me too, that the Lord was like, you do dentistry. I'm like, okay, we'll do that. And I had to end up finding out what was dentistry about and all of that. And so, yeah, I also tell people, you're the one who created you knows exactly why he manufactured you. If we want to talk about like card
Right.
type of lingo, but yeah, but as you said, even that, people will be like, you just want to over spiritualize things, but that's one thing. But as you also said, you started shadowing people. That's like on a more practical way. And from then on, you didn't realize that he already put that desire in your heart. That was him at that time. You just didn't necessarily recognize that clearly because of your little agenda. That
Right.
was also his agenda in a way, or he kind of honored yours. But there's also other things whereby I think you can take tests. There's some tests that aptitude tests that you can take and see what you're kind of like wired for. You can also listen to other people. You can also see what you really like to do, what you really hate or to see and things like that. But I mean, that is not truly the subject of the day. But I thought that would help someone. So
Absolutely.
let me ask you this now. What are some of, your tricks to organizational living that you apply in your life? Because I know you're super organized and even I would benefit from this talk.
Yeah. So I think organization really goes back to what you want, right? And
Mhm,
also, there are a lot of books that talk about starting with the end in mind.
mhm,
And I think that's really the biggest part of organization where you're thinking about what do you want it to look like at the end and
mhm.
then kind of going backwards from there. So a lot of times, like when I'm thinking about organization at home, for instance, right, I have
Yes.
five of us and three kids and the kids are, I have teenage girls and then a preteen and
Mhm,
getting them involved in the house is very important, like
mhm.
learning to delegate from what, has been, and I think my mom is like the queen of delegation. Like when we were younger,
Mhm.
she just knew how to like make sure everything was done in the house and she was just delegating it all. So I think I definitely, but it's been very helpful to clarify. But the other part of it is like simple, practical things, right? You do the work once. So for instance, for
Mhm,
meals, you do the meal schedule once instead of having to do, my goal, I want to eat healthy. How do we eat healthy? Well, we need to decide what we're going to eat every day, give
okay.
ourselves options every single day. And then
Mhm,
once we have those options for Monday, Tuesday through Sunday, then we
mhm.
need a grocery list. We do the grocery list once. What are all the possible things we need to buy every
Right.
so often? You have that there. So that's a way of it's all there.
Mhm.
I have a spreadsheet of my grocery list. And I know
Wow.
some people do it differently. But for me,
Yes.
that works because everything is there. And that means my 14-year-old can take that spreadsheet and order the groceries very easily, you know,
Okay.
and if there are things that's special that need to be on the list, sometimes I'll star it. This is only certain times. You don't have to get
Right.
this every week or
All the
every
time.
whatever.
Right.
And this
Mhm,
is where we get it from. So
mhm.
doing things like that, like organizing it has been helpful. Other things that I try to do is make things easy. I
Mm.
found that when things are easy to do, it's done.
Yes.
So, for instance, I rearrange my kitchen every so often, making sure it's easy to unload the dishwasher. Where you put in the
Okay.
pots, where you put in the pans, where you put in the plates, is it
Mhm,
easy for people to reach? So, just
mm,
those simple things, thinking about equipment in the kitchen, what
mhm,
are the things I can use to quickly make things? I have my little chopper things,
mhm.
whatever I can think of that will make things easier, make it
Right,
more
right.
efficient. I think that makes it a big difference.
Okay. So I see that in your home organization, you actually include your children because the delegation, because you talked a lot about delegation and you were blessed to have parents that did delegate. So I guess initially it was annoying, but now you see it more as a blessing.
Yep. Actually, we grew up with it, so I didn't even know what they were doing. It was just natural. But now looking
Yes.
back is when I was like, "Oh my god, this woman." Yep.
And you're like, "Oh my god, this woman,"
That's
and now you
that's
actually
what I'm doing.
replicating it. You're like, "Oh, great.
Yep,
Now it's my turn to delegate."
exactly.
So people should not feel like, they are maybe like abusing, the help of their kids or overextending their kids. But I mean, you do it with wisdom as well, right? You don't
Oh,
just
yeah,
unload everything.
it helps them. Like, I didn't ever feel like it's so helpful for
Mhm,
kids to grow up learning to do things. It actually
mm,
builds confidence. It
mm,
helps them learn to be independent. It helps them feel like they're contributing.
mhm.
It really does help. I mean, it's actually easier for me to do some of those things initially,
Yes.
because it'll be faster. But
Mhm,
going through the motions of showing them, teaching them, it helps both of us. We spend time together. They learn how to do things properly and they
mhm.
gain confidence. I actually don't see it at all. It's like I'm doing them a favor.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah,
It's true. 'Cause I've seen, like, a lot of times, people, they grow up not doing things, so they end up not knowing things, and so now they have to learn it at an older age and even, like, invest in learning whereby they could have just learned at home from the beginning. Either they didn't wanna do it because they didn't necessarily follow direction, or maybe they were not taught.
exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't see it as punishment or, it's really just teaching them. It's a different type of learning.
And so how do you organize now your fun activities?
So fun actually has been tougher than I thought. So in the past, in the past, it would just happen naturally because I just went with the flow, right?
Mm,
And more recently, I'll say in the last 5 years or so, I've been more intentional
mhm,
about fun because I started to realize I was going with the flow, like even simple things, right? My
mhm,
husband will be like, "Oh, what do you want to eat?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's okay, whatever you guys, like."
mhm,
And sometimes whatever they choose is really not what I want. And then I start to think about it like, why am I always just agreeing to whatever?
mhm,
And I said to really start making myself think about it, even if I wasn't going to get it. Like, so
mhm,
for instance, if they say, "Oh, what do you want to eat?" and everybody prefers pizza and I want, Thai food or whatever, even if
mhm,
I'm not going to get the Thai food, I say
mhm,
forcing myself to think about what I wanted
mhm,
instead of just saying, "It's okay, it's okay." And just that exercise has made a big difference, right?
mhm, mhm,
So now even and I start to see in my daughters, that's what actually triggered me thinking. Because my son, you ask him, "What do you want?" And he's just like, "I want this." And I don't know if it's a man woman thing, but I was like, "Whoa." And while the girls are like, "It's okay." I was like, "No, no, 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 no. No, it's not okay." Like,
yeah,
know what you want, right? And then
mhm,
it doesn't mean you have to insist on it, but at least know what you want. So that's
mhm,
the first step. So with fun, I think more critically, okay, this is what I want. And then
mhm,
I give people lists for my birthday now,
mm,
which has been really lovely. Like if I something I like, I'll put a note of it so that when it's my birthday time, I'll be like, here you go, kids. Here you go, husband. These are the lists. Pick something from this list, and then I get what I want. And
wow,
then, and then because they can't read your mind. And then for
right,
fun, I've been thinking more about, okay, who are the people I'm associated with and
mm,
what do I want to do with them? And
okay,
so thinking more critically about like what is fun to me, which
yes,
has changed over time. So now it's funny, you have to be intentional because, otherwise you just waste time doing things
mhm.
that are not actually important to you or meaningful for you.
I
Yeah.
love it, love it, love it. So now, how about in the office? And I would like for you to talk to us a little bit about, as a business owner, like how do you live intentionally? How do you serve your patients intentionally at InTouch?
Yeah, so I didn't touch that part is actually easier because,
Mm,
as a business owner, you're constantly thinking about your business and how to
right, right.
improve and all of
Mhm,
that. But one of the things again, it's starting with the end in mind with the patient. So I always think about, so what's our goal here? Our goal is for us to help people remain healthy, help
Mhm,
people become healthy. Okay,
mhm,
so how do we do that? Well,
mhm.
it's not just about, with every visit, being intentional about making sure that you hear what they're saying and then
Mm,
you're able to meet their need, right?
yes.
Not your need. So a big part of what I started to do is asking people, so what are your goals? So
Mm,
what would you like us to do? Because sometimes even as a doctor, you see the history and you have your agenda,
and, yes,
and in their minds, that's not as important, right? So you're thinking, okay, they have, this condition, you need to get that blood sugar lower. But for
yes.
them, the headache is more important right now,
Uh-huh.
right? So so just clarifying why you're here today. How can I make sure that when you leave today,
Mhm.
you've gotten what you came here for? And then I
Right.
would do my own agenda after. So that's what. And then the
Gotcha.
other thing we started to do was what we do patient reviews. So outside
Mhm,
when the patient goes and everything,
mhm,
every quarter we'll have a look through all our patients, their medical conditions and everything. And then
mhm,
we'll think about ways that we can proactively prevent conditions specific to them. And that has
mhm.
really been a game changer because it helps me think about the patient outside of when they're here. And it helps
Yes.
me come up with 3 specific things that they can do to improve their health, not reactively, but proactively. So
Mm,
just being intentional about, because I don't want them just to become healthy. I want them to remain healthy. And so
exactly.
we have to continue working on it. It's an active process.
Man, this is beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, of course. Yes, you may think that, okay, the person has diabetes, that's number one priority. But as you said, if the person has maybe a rash and that's number one in their mind, you're talking about diabetes, they feel like you don't know what you're doing. You didn't care about them. You didn't care for them.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
So you need to know what's important to them, not what's important to you. And I think that makes a huge difference.
Right. Yeah. Oh, wow. I love that. So I was still pondering on that. And what about how does that like how does delegate what does delegation look like in your office with your employees as well?
Yeah, so that's a work in progress. I'm constantly trying to balance that, right? But
Mhm,
yeah, it's really thinking about, am I working at my highest level at this point? And I do that at home and at work. So
mhm,
when I'm about to vacuum something off the floor, I'm
mhm,
thinking, is this a good use of my time, or can my 9-year-old do this really quickly? It's closer
mm.
to the ground anyway, right? So he can use the hand vacuum.
You close it to the
So I start, and so now more and more, that's how I think about it. Like, okay, this thing I'm doing, am I
mhm,
really the only person that can do it? Or can
mhm,
somebody else really help and
mhm,
do this? And so that I
mhm,
can use my time more efficiently. So that's the question in the back of my mind often that
mhm.
helps me determine how to delegate.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That made me think about somebody in my life that would ask you, "Can you please cook this?" And while you're cooking, the person come and stir. I'm like, "Did you not just ask?" So I think it will be to be like, think about what is the best use of your time. Could you be doing something else while you have already asked the person to do something? Try to do something that's going to be more productive to you so the person can do what they can do best. I love that. Okay, so
Exactly.
I'll go back to
Exactly.
that person in my life.
And let them know. Sometimes it's hard, especially like for someone like me. I like to clean, I like to organize, right? So
Yes,
it's so natural. I come downstairs, I'm trying, or I see something, I'm drawn to try, and I have to stop myself. And sometimes I
yes,
walk away in the middle and say, nope, this is not the best use of my time. Let me go and do what only me can do. The kids are going to be here in like an hour and they can take care of it. So
yes.
just making myself, it's a work in progress for sure.
Wonderful. So thank you so much. We learned a whole lot. Like, first of all, understand what living intentionally means to you. What is it that you love to do? Delegate, but initially try to know the end of the thing. Have the end in mind so you know where you're going. And then, just let go. Don't feel like you have to do everything. There's a lot more to learn. But yeah, just keep watching this episode and, you can pinpoint so many things. Thank you so much. I have been edified. And so it was a pleasure having you today. But before we leave, I would like to ask you if somebody wanted to work with you, if they're in need of a doctor and you are a great doctor, where can they find you?
Sure. So you can find us on our website, intouchprimarycare.com. And the
Mhm,
good thing about our practice is we're membership based. So if you
mhm,
do not have health insurance, if you do have health insurance, it doesn't matter. So we
mhm.
can see, we work under membership. We're out of network for all insurances, but we can see people with and without insurance. So, and you can
Wonderful.
find us in the Houston area in Sugarland.
Okay. And how about on social media?
So we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and it's all at InTouch Primary.
InTouch Primary. There you have it. And on our end here, if you're in need of a great dentist and you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, don't hesitate to contact us at Healing Wings Dental. Our address is 4101 West Green Oaks Boulevard in Suite 317. That's in Arlington, Texas. Okay, and you can give us a call at 972-213-0202. Thank you so much, doctor. I know that you need to go and take care of your patients, as I do as well. And so I would love to have you another time. Would that be okay for us to have you again?
Absolutely, I love to. Thank you for
Wonderful.
having me, Dr.
Oh, it
Valerie.
was my pleasure. You have a great day and thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. And we'll see you next time. Bye.